Hello and welcome back to the Notes, coming from a glorious Washington DC where the sun has come out. Now, one of the big topics of the moment is climate change. Following the Paris Agreement last year, the World Bank is fully behind putting a price on carbon, and many businesses have come along too. Now, of course, when a business emits carbon, there isn't a price in dollars and cents to be paid to anyone. So what does it mean to put a price on carbon?
The carbon price is a tool for the climate. It's a kind of compass for the climate. And so therefore we use internally a carbon price, or more precisely a carbon curve price, starting from now to 2030. And we integrate that in our investment criteria, and that's very useful.
Well, in our company, Royal DSM, since recently we put a price on carbon internally, since there is not yet a real price on carbon in the global economy, of 50 euros per ton. And what does that? That drives the investments in such a way that we want to prepare on that low carbon future. It shapes the mindset of our own people that we should develop the right technologies.
Now this can drive some drastic changes in behavior.
We have decided to stop any new investment in coal. That was very important, and it is not an ecological decision, it is an economic decision, because with an increase in carbon price, it's obvious that in the future, at a given time, a coal power plant will become uneconomic.
Now, obviously this idea has power, but this remains a notional price set as part of a voluntary exercise. And many companies are doing this because they regard a carbon tax as ultimately inevitable.
Prepare now for a price on carbon, because it will be inevitable that the price on carbon comes. And any change will create winners and losers, but companies now still can choose whether you would like to be in the camp of the winners or the camp of the losers. And our company has decided to prepare on that future.
That brings us to a key issue. Is there any point in doing this unless there's an actual carbon tax? There's disagreement.
We have known as economists that it is smart to tax things that are bad and not to tax things that are good. So actually, putting a price on incomes and profits is not as good economics as putting a price on congestion and pollution.
We prefer a market-oriented system which is less costly than any tax. That's our position.
This is, I believe, is the critical issue. It's difficult to treat carbon as only a technical issue. Many of the business people I've spoken to here are very enthusiastic about carbon pricing, but don't think it makes much sense unless we move to a full carbon tax and make the case politically. And of course, particularly here in the USA, both tax and climate change are extremely politically divisive.
Unfortunately, in the United States, it has become a politicized issue through most of history. Environmental issues are not political, really. The leading environmental presidents in this country were actually Republicans. And so too, it was Maggie Thatcher in the United Kingdom that said, we need to sign up to a framework convention on climate change, said it's smart. So there's nothing inherently political about it, but unfortunately here, it is political.
It's a fascinating issue, and we have reached a fascinating turning point, perhaps. There has never been such a degree of preparedness and willingness to go for carbon pricing. But the next step could be the most difficult, and that will be to decide whether people really have the appetite to make the political case for a carbon tax.